Welcome back to Namaste Node.js Season 3, and in this episode we are going to talk more about the live chat that we were building in our last episode. Okay, in the last episode we saw that how you can set up socket.io on your client and on your server, and then how two users can connect to the server in a same room, and then they can send messages to each other, right? And that happens instantaneously using WebSockets. But there was a problem in our application that we did not save these chats, right? So if you refresh the page, basically the chats just vanishes away, right? So if I am sending some messages, suppose if I am sending hello from here, so it should basically save in the database, right? So how do you save it? How do you create a schema? How do you create APIs? How do you store it, save it? How do you basically build this feature end to end is what we will see in this episode. We will also deploy this feature on your production to see how this looks. Okay, so this is what this episode brings to you. So without wasting any time, let us just get started, my dear friends. So the first things first, we want to store this chat, right? In the messages. We want to store the chat in the messages, right? So let's just store it, in the database. So let's just create the database schema. That's the first thing that we should do. So let's just move to our backend code. In the backend code, let's get these models, and in this models, let's create a model and let's call this as chat.js. Okay. So in your chat.js models, I will create a new schema, right? So how do you create a schema? First of all, let's get our Mongo, right? Let's get const mongoose is equals to require mongoose, right? So I have got my mongoose with me, right? I have got my mongoose with me. Now I will create my chat schema. Okay. So constant chat schema is equals to new mongoose dot schema, and here I'll create my chat schema. Okay. Here, before I create my chat schema, I'll basically also let me module.exports, right? And then let me export my chat. First of all, I'll have to create a model, right? Const chat is equals to mongoose.model, and then I name it chat, and then we have to create it using chat schema. Got it? Everybody knows this. What am I doing? Now let's do the important part of adding things to our chat schema. Okay. So in our chat schema, what do we add is the first thing. What do you think will be there in the chat? So first thing that we need to store is participants, right? Let's store participants. So who are the participants? Basically, see, every chat. See, when I say chat means a separate, chat should know which participants are there. Suppose if the chat is between Akshay and Virat, so the participant should be Akshay and Virat, right? If the chat is between Virat and Donald Trump, that should be a separate chat. Donald Trump and Akshay should be a separate chat. So similarly, there should be separate chat for each and every unique set of participants. Do you understand that, right? For every unique set of participants, there should be, a separate kind of a chat. So let's just, add these participants. So participants cannot be one. So it will be an array, right? Array. And this array will have the type of mongoose. It should be type of the user, right? Mongoose.schema.types mongoose.schema.types.object ID, right? It should be of type object ID. So participants would be the object ID of users, plus along with that there should also be, it should ref to user, right? It should ref to my user. Okay. And also it should be required, right? You need chat, right? You need participants to be there. Now, along with participants, now we should have messages over here, right? So messages over here. So what we will need is, I will need some messages. Now messages will again be a list or an array of individual messages, isn't it? So array of certain messages. Now how do you define a single message? Right? Let me tell you one cool thing, that you can include a schema inside another schema. Okay. So let me just show you how to do that. So I'll create a different schema for messages. Okay. So you can also write like this, right? This is I'm just teaching you new things, right? So basically you can create a new Mongoose schema, right? New Mongoose schema, right? Schema. And this schema will be of messages. Okay. So let's keep it separate. Now for each message, what should be there? Tell me, right? Now I will define that for each message, what should be the schema, right? So for each message, I should have a sender, right? I can have a sender ID, right? That makes sense, isn't it? So I should definitely have a sender ID, and that sender ID should be of type, again, object, right? So mongoose.schema.types, schema.types dot object ID, right? So this will be of type object ID, and then it should also ref to user, right? It should also ref to user, right? If we want to populate, we can populate this, and then, and it should also be required, right? I can say required equals to true, because every message should have a sender over here, right? And I think I added extra brackets. Yes. So this is the sender ID. What else should a message have? The message should have the text, right? The actual text that needs to be sent. So remember, think of it, right? I am creating a schema for this message, right? So it should have a timestamp, it should have a sender ID, it should have a message, and it should have the scene status or not. For now, I am just ignoring this scene status, right? If you want to build that feature, you can build it, but for now, I am just ignoring it, right? So you can just ignore it for now, right? Or you can create it if you want, but that's a different kind of a feature that we'll have to build, right? So not going into that for now, right? So the text would be type string, right? It's easy, right? And it should also be required, because a empty message should not be stored on the server, right? So this is our Mongoose table. And then, you can have a timestamp also, right? When this message was created. So for that, you can use MongoDB's normal timestamps, right? So you can just add timestamps is equals to true. So this will add your timestamp. Now, your single message looks like this, right? Your message should have a sender ID. It should have a text, what the actual message is, right? And along with that sender ID, I can also store first name if I want to. Otherwise, I can populate it from the user also, right? You can populate it from the user, or you can also store it, right? If you want, you can store it. So, or otherwise, you can populate it also. You don't really need to store it. Just a moment, right? You can just populate it also, or you can store it also, right? Shall we store first name? No, we don't need to, right? We can basically populate it if we really want to, right? So what we need to do is, now we have created this message schema. So what I'm saying is, my chat schema is of participants. Participants is an array of object type, right? Now messages are of type message schema, right? So this is what I wanted to say, right? So now for each message, we are defining this schema over here. You can also, you can creating a new schema basically keeps your, it's basically good to keep your message schema separate and chat schema separate, because it's a separate thing altogether, right? Each message is a new message, right? It can have its own schema, right? This we have defined. You can also just write it over here also. That means the same thing overall, right? But basically creating it, distributing it in message schema makes it more readable, makes it more cleaner, right? So that is a good thing. Okay, so I'm just exporting this chat. I've created a model out of this schema, chat schema, and this I am exporting from here. So once you have created the schema, now basically we need to save our messages. To save our messages, when should we save our messages? Tell me. Whenever somebody is sending this message to our server, we should save these messages in our database. How do you do that, my dear friends? So how do you do that is basically, let's go to socket.js. Over here, whenever I am receiving a chat, see, this is join chat, so I don't need to do anything over here. Once somebody sends a message here, right? Basically, here I need to save this message, right? Save message to the database. Okay. So here I need to write the logic to save message in the database. How will I save the message? First of all, before doing any DB operations, the best thing is to do is to add a try catch block, because you should try and catch the errors if there are some issues with the database. So it can just catch your errors. For now, I am just doing console log over here if we find any error, but you can do a proper error messaging, right? You can send your errors to some error logging monitoring system or to Sentry or wherever you wish to, right? But once I have this try catch block, over here I will save my message, right? Over here I will actually save my message. How? First of all, see, there are two cases now. If I am getting this send message event, there is a possibility that I am sending my first message ever to Donald Trump, right? Suppose it can be the first message also, or suppose there can be an existing chat where I want to append messages, right? Two cases. So see, if I am getting a message over here, I need to find out whether this chat exists earlier or not. If it exists, push there. If it does not exist, create a new one, right? How do I write logic for that? So first of all, I'll try to find my chat, right? Find my chat in the database. How do you find it? Chat, right? I will get my chat. Now I'll try to find one, right? I want to find a chat where my participants, right? Find a chat where my participants, right? Participants, right? And over here, I will use a $all, right? $all. Read about it in the MongoDB's, Mongoose documentation. What does this $all means? So this $all means all the people in this array should be, right? All the people in this array should be the participants over here, right? So how will I find the participants? The first participant should be your user ID and the second participant is your target ID, right? Target user ID. So basically now it will find me a chat, right? This code will find me a chat where the participants are all. Now, why I am writing this type of query? Because we want to extend, right? Suppose tomorrow we want to create a feature such as group chat. Suppose tomorrow, if we want to create a feature such as group chat, suppose 3 people can now join a chat, right? Chat room. So over there, you can also add user ID, target user ID, and the third user, right? So similarly, our feature, we can extend our code to third user also. But the query would be something like this, right? So the participant should be short chat. That is why, I have not in my chat. See, when I created the chat schema, right, I could have added over here that the chat can have a sender, right? Sender ID. What I am trying to say is I am making my schema extensible and I am thinking about the future. Otherwise, how you would make a schema, how I could have made in sender ID and receiver ID. If I make my schema like this, right? If I make my schema like this, that means I am restricting this chat schema to be only for 2 participants. My chat can only be between 2 participants. If this would have been a chess game, then this schema would have been good, right? Player 1, player 2, sender or receiver. Or basically I could say not even sender ID, receiver ID. I would say player 1, player 2, something like that, right? But what I am trying to say is I am creating an array over here because this array can have more than 2 people also. Suppose I want to create a chat between 3 people some other time, right? Maybe 3 people can join in my chat in DevTinder, right? 3 developers are connecting and chatting together in a room. So how do you do that? It is done by creating a schema like this, right? The participant should be array. It should not be restricted to 2. Okay. So this is why I did that. For people who want to ask me that why Akshay are you doing this? Now I have got my participants. Now suppose if my chat is not present. If suppose my chat is not present, I did not get any chat from the DB. That means this is the first time these two people, user ID and target user ID, are chatting, right? Because the chat does not exist in my database, because this is a find query, right? If it does not exist, then I will create a new chat, right? So I will create a new chat. Chat is equals to, then I would say new await. Sorry, I did not write await over here. This await is very, very important, right? Otherwise DB call won't happen. And let's make this a async function also. Okay, so async function chat.find1. Now what I'll do is I'll create a new chat, right? I'll do a new chat, and then this chat will contains what chat items do I need to store. The first item that I need to store is participants, right? The participant should be my user ID and my target user ID. Okay, user ID and target user ID. Sorry, this is not the good one. I should be adding an array, right? This is not the correct brackets that I need. Participant should be this. And the second thing I need to add inside my chat is, if you'll go to chat schema, first thing is participant, the second thing is messages, right? So my messages, right? Messages can be empty. For now, I am just creating a new chat, right? That means I am creating this for the first time, right? And I cannot, so this is the chat. Let me just write let over here, right? Because I can't update const, right? It will be an error. So this is let chat. I am finding this chat. If this chat does not exist, I am just appending this chat with a new chat, right? Create a new chat. Now I will write the logic to basically add, right? Now I will write the logic to basically push the messages, right? Chat dot messages. Now I will push the messages, right? These are the messages. And I will do, basically this is an array, right? So I can do chat.messages.push and what I need to push over here. Now, when I push, so basically I will push an object with my message schema, right? What is this message? Sender ID and text, right? So what I'll do is over here, I'll say sender ID, right? Sender ID, and then this sender ID is who? Sender ID is the user ID, right? So sender ID and basically the text that I received, right? Sender ID and the text that I received. Okay. So this is what I did. I pushed this message, pushed this chat over here, and now I will just await and save it, right? I will just do await chat dot save, right? So now that is all the logic that you had to write, right? That is all the logic that you had to write. It is very, very, very easy, my dear friends. And why should we do this in outside, right? Let's also bring this code inside, right? Let's wrap everything inside try catch, right? Why should we? Let's wrap everything inside try catch, right? There won't be any error over here, but still let's put it inside. Cool. Now the code looks clean. Let me just revise the code once again. So what I did is, first I created the schema. Let's look at the schema. Chat schema should be participants and then messages. Messages are array of message schema. Array means every message should have a sender ID and a text, and then we have a timestamp true, right? So I can also send timestamp, by the way, right? Over here, I am message received, first name, text, and then I can also send basically the created at timestamp, right? If you want, you can just add the created at timestamp also over here, right? So basically you can just send date.now or something like that, right? So timestamp, or just you understood, right? I'm not complicating it here, but you can send it something like this. Timestamp is equals to new date, right? You can just send new date, something like that, right? So I'm not complicating it for now. Cool. So now we have saved the chat in our database. So shall we see that? Now let us just go and write a message and send it, and then let us see if we have got it in our database or not. Okay. So now Akshay, see, let's just see this. Akshay joined the room, Donald joined the room. Now let me just send the message, hello, or I would say, Namaste Donald Trump. Okay, Namaste Donald Trump. And let us also store this emoji, right? Let us also store this emoji. And if I click on send, I sent it. And it went over here to Donald Trump. Let us go and see whether we have saved this in our database or not, right? Here is our database. Over here, we do not see any table, but let me refresh my database. See, I got this chats. If I click on chat, see this. I have got one chat over here in my database where the participants are two object IDs, right? These must be Akshay and Donald Trump IDs. And there is a message. See this, my dear friends. This is the message. And over here, if you see, we have a sender ID. We have a text, Namaste Donald Trump. And then we have a ID. This is the message ID. Because, see, having a different schema altogether makes it much more easier. Why? Because it will have its own created at, updated at, and this ID. Okay. If it was not a schema, if I would have directly done it like this, right? Where is this? If I would have directly written it like this, right? So it would have not created all the other things that we need, right? So that is why for each message, I needed my timestamp, I needed a message ID. So creating a new schema is always helpful, right? Tomorrow, if you want to scale your database, then this idea would be good, right? This is a good way to, write it in a simple and logical fashion. Okay. This method of storing the chats is decent, not the best, not the worst, right? If your chat application have decent number of users, right? If the users are not in like millions, then the complexity of the database will be very different, right? Then the chat will be stored in a different format, right? It will be it will then go, the discussion will then go into database architecture or something, and every database can have their own challenges of scaling and how do you store that database. And then you will also have to think about whether you want to search in the messages, whether you don't want to search in the messages. There, like, how do you want to, what queries would you want to do in that database? That is what will decide how your scale of the database will be defined and how you architect your database. But for a chat application, basic chat application with a lesser number of users, not like millions of users, this database works well, right? This will work well. You can just keep storing your messages like this over here, right? So we have stored the messages now. Everything is there in my database. But if I refresh my page, I don't see it here. Why? Because I haven't fetched that from my database into my front end. So what I'll do is, as soon as this page loads, basically I need to make an API call, get my past messages. WebSockets won't help here. WebSockets are only for real-time communication. When you are loading this page, you basically need to find out the chat, right? The previous chat. You know, right? So basically you need to find out the previous chat. So I'll create an API, and in that API, I will just fetch my chat. Got it? So it's very easy. Let's write the API logic now. Okay. So we'll create a new route just like we do. We will create a new API just like we do. And we will basically, now we will just fetch the chats and show it to the user on the initial page load. Suppose if the user is loading this page, it should see the past chat also. How will I do that? First of all, let's just quickly create routes, right? In the routes, let's create a new file for chat route, right? Chat.js. And then basically, how do you create a route? First of all, I will get express is equals to require express. Then I can create a router. I can create a chat. Router is equals to express.router, express.router. And then basically what we'll do, first of all, I'll just export it, module.exports, module dot exports my chat router. And then let me also, whenever you export a new router, you have to include it in your app.js file, right? Just like you do it for any other router. So basically you'll have to add this chat router also. Cool. I have got my chat router over here. Now here, right? So we have got this. Now let's create an API. So what type of API should I create? Chat router.get, right? I want to get my chat, and let's call this as chat slash, and then chat slash which chat would I get, right? So, okay, so I can create this chat, and then I want data of which chat should I get, right? So basically I need participants. So I will basically take participants here, right? I will take the participants here. So how I will take the data is basically I will have a handler, right? I will have a handler here, and let's make this handler as async. Async, and then there would be again request comma response, and then I would need some data also, right? That my here, right? So let's get my user ID and maybe target user ID. No, sorry, my bad. I want my user ID and target user ID also. How would I get? I will get it inside my request.body, right? So constant user ID comma target user ID from my request.body, right? From my request, not params, body. Okay. Either I can give it like this, right? I can say user ID in my params, right? I can either send it through request.params. I want to basically get it from my user ID body, right? Request.body. Or maybe let's make it a post call, right? Because post can have the body. Get call is basically through query parameters generally, right? I don't really need that. Or you can also make a get call, right? Just make a get call, your wish, right? How you want to do that. But I can just take the user ID from my target user ID, and then request.body. Now I will find out the chat between these two users. It's one and the same thing, right? It's very easy thing. You can write that code, right? First of all, let's write try catch block, trying catch error, and then I can do console.error, and then I can, in the try, I will just find my chat, right? I can just find my chat. So how will you find the chat? I can just find the chat dot find one, right? And then again I will do the same thing. I will find my chat. How do you find the chat? Again, participants all, right? Don't forget to put all, otherwise this query will not be the best query, right? Ideally, just do this, just a minute. So participants $all, this is all query over here. So participants chat.find1, and then participants all user ID and target user ID in the array. Cool. So this will find my chat, right? This will find my chat. And suppose if the user is coming for the first time, again, suppose if I did not find the chat, right? So if I did not find the chat, then I have to do something. And if I find the chat, then I have to do something. Suppose if I did not find the chat, then again I'll have to create a empty chat and store it and send it maybe, right? So let's do that. Chat is equals to, I can just do the same thing, new chat. And then again, right, the new chat will be there, and I can just add participants. Basically, I'm trying to do the same thing that we did last time, right? Remember? While we were saving the messages, participants, and then I will give it an array of user ID, target user ID, right? And what else? I'll also have to push some messages, right? And then messages, and then again I'll store empty messages. So once I have got this new chat. So what I'll do, I can basically save my chat, right? I can await chat.save, right? And then whatever my chat will be, I can just return the response. Cool. Easy, right? So what I'm trying to say, whenever somebody is requesting for a chat and we got the user ID and target user ID, right? Whenever somebody is requesting the chat, user ID, target user ID. Now what I'll do is I basically will just, ensure, I will just ensure that basically and first of all, yes, we have not written user auth. You write user auth so that I know who is the user, right? Logged in user. And I have got the logged in user and I can get the logged in user here also, right? I don't need to actually basically pass it here, isn't it? Cool. I can do that like this also, right? So user auth, and then I can get this user ID, logged in user ID here, right? So basically this user ID should come from my request.user instead, isn't it? You know what I'm doing, right? I'm not explaining you because you already know this, right? I have taught you so many times, right? Request.user. You would find the user ID from here, isn't it? You can find it from here. I have taught you so many times. Cool. So user ID can come from request.user._id, right? Because I am checking the authenticated user, right? So this is the authenticated user. Now the authenticated logged in user is trying to find it, right? Now I am just finding whether my chat I have found, and then if the chat is not found, I am just pushing the empty chat, and then I am just saving the chat, and then I'm just giving you back, right, the chat.json. Cool. I think this should look good. Let me just let's just try this out maybe, right? Shall we try this API out? Akshay and Donald, right? So basically I can just try this API out if it works. So this is chat/chat.find, right? Let's call it as chat/chat and then get chat, right? Get chat API. So maybe I can say, I'm not liking this post call. It should be ideally get call, right? So you can do something like this also maybe, right? Chat and then colon the target user ID, right? Target user ID, and here I can get it from params, PARAMS, right? Cool. So now I basically am trying to get chat, a target user ID, and I know the logged in user already, right? So basically this should give me the chat. Now let's go back to my postman and let's try to find out, right? So let's create a new get call, right? How do you create a new get call like this, right? So so let me just duplicate this, right? This is the chat, right? So I can just get my chat. So basically chat / and then I can give it target user ID, right? Target user ID, right? This is my target user ID. So I don't need to send anything, right? Body would be empty because this is a get call. Over here I can give it chat, and then I want the chat of basically the ID of Donald Trump, right? Let's go to the documents, users. Where is Donald Trump? Where is Donald Trump? This is Donald Trump, right? So let's get the user ID of this, A2E, right? Basically, cool. I have got the ID of Donald Trump. So let's just get the ID of Donald Trump. Here is the ID and send basically, right? So please log in because it's not login. So our user auth is good. Now let me log in using akshay@gmail, send. Now I am logged in. Now let's go to chat and then let's send. It is taking a lot of time. Why? Does it fail? Cool. It says chat not defined. Where? I know I would have missed import somewhere, right? Routes chat. Yes, this chat not defined because I missed the import statement. Cool. So now everything should work well. Server is successfully listening. The socket hanged up. Let's send it once again. Let's see again, it failed. Why? Now it is saying starting the object type error, converting circular structure to JSON. Okay, so I got it. The issue was over here. I did not write await over here. Yeah. Always, whenever you do DB things, always write await. This was the issue, right? So now if I go back and if I send it, do you see this? Now we have got this message, Namaste Donald Trump, right? And this message is from Akshay, right? This is the sender ID of Akshay. So see, one more thing we can do is we want to also know who is the sender, right? So basically we can know who is the sender. So I can populate that sender also, sender information. Maybe suppose I want to know who sent this message, Akshay, or who is this sender over here. So I can just write populate also. How do I write populate? So basically I am find one. So basically what I am trying to do is, where is it? Chat routes here, right? So I will do populate, and then over here in the populate I need to give that what I need to populate. So I can give it a path, and this path is basically messages.sender ID, right? Sender ID. And what fields do I need to populate? I can give it in select, right? SELECT, select. And then I can give it a string. So I can say I want to populate first name, I can populate last name, or you can also populate email ID if you want to. You can populate whatsoever you wish to send, right? Send back. So if I save this, let us just try to query once again and see if this works. Cool. So see this. Now you got this sender ID, and then you got this first name and last name also, right? Sender ID, first name, last name. Now I have sent this data back. Now I want to basically make this API call from my front end and get my chat over here on this window, right? Whatever the chat is here, I want to get it from the window. So now what I'll do is, as soon as I load this page, I want to basically, load my chat. So how do I write code for it? Chat.jsx. Let us first of all write a function, fetch chat, right? So I can say fetch chat messages, and then that can be an async function. I'm just writing it quickly because this is nothing new to you. This is nothing that is not known to you. It's one and the same thing. We are just doing it again. So many times we have done the same thing. We have to make an API call. We have to get messages, or I would say chat messages, right? Chat messages we will get, and I will get it from, basically I will get all of this messages. I will basically get chat messages. Basically not chat. Basically I am getting the chat over here, right? So let's get the chat. And what I will get is, I will just do await. First of all, await Axios .get, and I can just get, and first of all, let me just import Axios. I will get Axios from Axios, right? And I can do get, and then I can just send it a base URL, and then plus what else? /chat/ and then the user ID, right? What is the user ID? Plus target user ID, right? So target user ID. Basically this target user ID that I have got from params. I want to get this, and then I want to do this with credentials is equals to true, right? Basically I'll have to set the credentials also. I will get the chat. Now what I'll do is, basically I have to do chat.data.messages. This is the object that I need. So chat.data, right? So basically console.log of chat.data.messages, right? This is what the messages are. And let's see if I get the messages or not. And as soon as our page load, I want to call this. So let's create another use effect, right? And I want to call this function, right? Basically fetch chat messages as soon as my page loads for the first time, right? So this is how you call it. I have called it. Let's just go back over here. Let's close this up. Let me refresh this page. If I refresh this page, oh, I have got this data, right? I've got this data over here. Messages are like this, right? So basically now these messages are in a very different format, right? I need to like basically make it in a format that can work along with our here, right? So that I can push it here. So I basically don't need it in this sender ID and within an object or something like that. Let's make this object a little clean and flat, right? So how would I do that? Basically constant chat messages is equals to, I'll do a map over it, right? So I'll do a chat dot data dot messages. Let me also put a question mark, otherwise, right? If if this is if this breaks, if the messages are not there, it will throw an error. Messages dot map, right? Now for each message I want to basically return an object, right? Return an object. So basically let me just return an object with what? Return an object with what are there in messages, right? Here we added, right? Messages first name plus last name, right? So basically first name plus msg dot last name and basically the text, right? Let me also add a string. So I'm just doing string concat. You can also do it in a different way, or basically let's do it in a in a better way. Let's do it like this, and let's write dollar over here, string interpolation, right? Something like this. So see, basically it's one and the same thing. You can see JSX, in the JSX you can just add it like this. Cool. So this is string interpolation. So basically first name, last name, and I need message.text, right? So, and then you can also add timestamp, you can also add scene status and all that other stuff, but I am not concerned about that. What I need is first name, and I need last name, and I need basically the text out of it, right? So how will I get the first name? First name comes from message msg, right? msg. So basically first name will come from msg dot sender id dot first name and msg dot sender id dot last name, and then msg dot text. Okay, got it. So basically how will I get msg dot first name, right? And then I will get msg dot last name dot last name is equals to msg dot last name, and text is equals to msg dot text. Cool. So this is how things will be. Now I've got my chat messages. Now I can just push this chat messages over here, right? Set messages to your chat messages. Set messages to your chat messages. Cool. So I have done this. Cool. Do you see this? This looks amazing, isn't it? But it says undefined. But do you see this? If I refresh the page, I see this message over here, right? Undefined, right? So let's fix this also, right? How do you fix this? Chat messages, how do you fix this? So basically, how do you fix this, right? So messages dot sender id, right? Sender id dot first name, and then I can do sender id. So see, basically, I am just being lazy. Otherwise, a good way to write it like this, right? So first name, sender id or sender id, comma, text, okay, which comes from message, right? So this comes from message. So I can just do sender id dot first name, and I can do sender id dot dot last name, and I can just write text over here, right? So basically text. Cool. So something like this. Now I can see this. Now Akshay Seni sent Namaste Donald Trump. Looks cool, isn't it? This looks cool, isn't it? Now let us just write message and see if this is working perfectly fine or not, right? So suppose if Donald Trump now write, "Hey Akshay, how are you doing?" Right? So now I think my chat will break. I know why, because of last name. Okay, it did not, right? It said undefined. because because right now I don't have a last name here, right? I'm not pushing the last name. uh, I knew, right, this would be undefined, but if it is undefined, then basically then don't show it, right? That's all we can do. I know why this is, figure that out. You understood, right? Why it is sending? Because see, when I am doing send message, right? When I am doing send message, I am just saying first name. I am not sending the last name also, right? So basically, you can just send it if you want to. You can just send it like that. Last name also, right? So user dot last name, right? You can send last name also, and then when you went to server, I also have to, send it back, right? Go to socket over here. When you are sending the name back, right? First of all, I need to receive also the first name, and then let me receive last name also here. Last name also, let me receive the last name. And once I receive this last name, I need to send it back also, right? So I need to send it back also. Cool. First name, last name, text. I'm sending it back as well. And then when I receive this message back, where is it? Where is the code of receive message? Here. So message received. Now I can get my first name, and then I can get my last name, and then text. And then I can push like first name, last name, and text also. Now it will look good, right? See this. Now Donald Trump, let me refresh the page, both sides. Do you see this? Now do you see this? Akshay Saini, Donald Trump. Now they are chatting in a full flow, my dear friends. Right? This is good, right? I am doing good. How about you? Right? How about you? I can send this message and it goes to Donald Trump also, right? The Akshay Saini has sent the message. I can also show in a different chat view, right? I can show it left and right also, right? Just like you see in the chat window. Does Daisy UI give that? Daisy UI chat component, Daisy UI chat component, chat bubble, and then see this. One left and then one right. How do you do that? JSX. Okay, it says chat end and the other should be chat start. Yes, chat start. So yes. So basically, over here I can change it to, see this, chat header, chat start, right? I can give it chat end also, right? So you can do that. Do you really want to do that? Let's try to do it. Okay, how would we do it? So basically, if the logged in user, so basically if the logged in user is the message dot first name, so it is chat start. So basically, if I am the sender, my chat should come on right side and other one should have on left side, right? This is how it looks on WhatsApp, isn't it? How does it look on WhatsApp? So this is Akshay. So Akshay's message should be on right side. Donald Trump should be on left side, right? Okay. So I know what to write. This should be chat start for Donald and chat end for me, right? Chat end for Akshay, right? This should be, this basically should be conditional. Okay. How would you write that condition? Let me try my hand out. So basically, let's add it. So if my user dot, do I have a user, logged in user? Where is my logged in user? This is my logged in user. Where is it? User, right? So this user dot first name, right? So user dot first name. So basically this is my logged in user, right? So user dot first name is equal to message dot first name. Cool. Message dot first name. Then the chat should be in your end. Otherwise it should be on start. chat start. Cool, I'm appending a class over here. Looks okay. Now both of them went on the right side. Why? This looks bad, right? Refresh, refresh. Okay, this is weird. Why? Chat end, chat start. Did I write chat start or chat end? Okay, if the user dot first name is message dot, okay, sorry, my bad. The brackets matter a lot here, right? Brackets. This is how the condition should be. This bracket should not be over here. Now it would work. Cool. Now this looks cool, isn't it? Wow. Wow, 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 wow. This looks so good, isn't it? See this. Now you have this chat, right? On the right hand side is my chat, right? So Akshay's chat is on right hand side, and for Donald Trump, the Donald Trump's chat is on right hand side. Suppose Akshay is texting now. So it says that, how about you? Now Donald Trump has to reply, right? I am doing great. Thanks for asking. Thanks for asking, right? So I can just send this. Do you see this? Do you see, my dear friends? So Donald Trump's chat on right side. Now I can create a chat as much as I want, right? The only issue over here that I see is, see this. Now, if you just go, right, if you send a message, new message, or suppose, see, Donald Trump send a new message. Suppose, say, this is a new message, right? So when I will send this message, right, so it will not scroll automatically, right? Just a chat application, it should scroll automatically, right? See this. If I click on send, this message came here, but it is down, right? So basically you can just, just write some CSS to make this look good, right? So that the new messages are like, this chat window doesn't scroll down, right? So it scrolls down automatically, but otherwise this looks great, isn't it? And if you refresh the page, come anytime you want, that chat messages will stay over here. Suppose if Akshay wants to chat to, let's try to play with it, right? Let's go to some other connection. Let's chat with Virat Kohli now, right? Let's go to Virat Kohli. Hey Virat, I am talking to Trump, right? So I can just send this message here. So now it went to Virat in another room. It did not obstruct this Donald Trump. Let me show you. Let's log into Virat from some other browser window, right? Let me just get some other browser window. This is my other Chrome profile, right? So let's get Virat here, right? So let's get Virat over here, right? So this is Virat Kohli, right? Let's get Virat over here, right? So Virat @gmail.com, right? And now Virat should get the message also, right? So, hey Virat, I'm talking to Trump. Now Virat, and then Virat @123. Login. Let's log in, right? So I have logged in. Okay, let's go to connections. So this is Akshay. If I click on this, see this. I have got this message, isn't it? How cool is that? How cool is that? Now I can see. Now suppose if I write, oh, that's great. That's great. What is Trump telling you? Right? So I can just send this message and see this. Virat Kohli's message is over here, right? See this. Virat Kohli's message is over here. It looks great, isn't it? It looks great. Now I can go back to my connections, right? I can go back to my connections, go to Trump. Right? How will I go to Trump? If I go to Trump, everything is great, right? So Trump can send me a new message and everything looks good. So I can just write something random. And if I click on send, see, everything comes over here, right? So what I'm trying to say is, this is how you can create your chat application using WebSockets. You can save the messages. Everything works well, right? You have your own chat window. Everything is good, right? There are few more enhancements that you can still do in the code. See, now let me tell you, my dear friends, we have built this chat application, but don't think that this is of WhatsApp level. No, it's not a WhatsApp level, because when things scale, then there are so many things that needs to be taken care of, right? This is a very basic WebSocket connections and very basic chat system that we have built. You can just improve it as much as you can. You can keep improving it, keep improving it, keep improving the security, keep improving. See, right now, if I am sending some random text like verify it, there is one very big issue right now that I can see over here is, let me tell you what issue. uh, if you see this chats, right? If you see this chat, uh, I really want to make sure that whenever uh, I am getting my chat, see this, I am already logged in and the chat I am getting, see this chat of target user ID, right? So I need to just make sure that I am user is authenticated, make sure that nobody is able to like, is there a way I can find chat of somebody else? No, I cannot, right? Because the first user ID is from the logged in user. So I can only find if the participant is logged in user, right? So this is secure. Our API is secure because I have a user auth. Only when the user is logged in and that is present inside my participant, that is when I can find out my chat. So in this aspect, this is fine, right? So what I am doing is I am not validating the input. Suppose if somebody is typing something random over here, see, if suppose somebody, there is no validations, right? I have not put any validations. Take up as your homework, right? Do the validations. Oh shit, this time I have not, this time I have not given you notes, right? I am not writing notes. Oh my God. So many things did we do. I did not write the notes in the last episode also. So basically, see, first you create backend, then you set up front end, the name of the packages. Let me just write down whatever I remember. Socket.io/client. This is the thing. Then basically you need to initialize the chat, right? Then you need to initialize the chat, right? Then basically you have to basically create the socket connection, right? Create socket connection, listen to events. There are so many things that we do, I don't even remember. But finish this up, right? I don't even remember this. If somebody gets a chance, then please update this and send me a PR, right? I will just improve it. Or maybe please, if somebody of you who is watching this video, please can you just improve all of these readme file, right? All of these readme files, everything, make it maybe formatted and add whatever is missing over here. Basically this is kind of like your notes, right? So add more things over here and send me a PR. I'll approve it. That will be helpful for everybody who watches this videos, right? So I'll update this readme file. But later on, what homework I need to give it to you is, homework is improve. Homework is improve the UI, right? And there is a security flaw that I'll tell you right now. Improve security, fix security bug, right? So fix the security bug. This is your homework. Improve the UI. When I say improve the UI, right, your chat window should be much better, right? Homework. What else? I gave you one more homework, right? What that homework was? There was one more homework I gave you in the last episode. I forgot. Okay, please add it here, right? So one more thing I want you to improve is in this whole scenario, there is a bug fix, right? That you need to do, right? Security bug fix. Security bug fix is, can I send messages to a person who is not my friend, right? Can I send messages to a person who is not my friend? Tell me, my dear friends. Can I send messages to a person who is not my friend? Is it possible or not? Interesting, right? Is it interesting or not? Suppose if I have got friend requests, these are not my friend, right? But I can see their IDs. Can I send messages? Can I send message to a person? Let's see the connection and request. So this is request. So suppose this is the request of Namaste node. Let's take some other, user. Interested. Who is this user? Let's take the user Deepak Chauhan, or maybe let's take Tony Stark over here. No. Can I send message to Tony Stark, who is not even my friend? Right? Can I send this message to Tony Stark, who is not even my friend? Right? Are we validating? Let us just check. So if I will try to send message, right? If I will try to send message to Tony Stark, what will happen? Right? If I join if somebody is trying to send a message and over here they pass in user ID and target user ID, they will be able to send. So there is a authentication issue, right? Auth issue, right? Auth in web sockets, right? This was the homework that I gave you last time. Sockets, right? Other issue is, one is the auth issue in WebSocket. The other issue is I can also send messages to homework, bug fix bug. If I am not friend, then I should not be able to send message. Right? If I am not friend, I should not be able to send message, right? So first issue is that I am not authenticating the user, right? This WebSocket can be called by non-logged in users also, right? If the user is not logged in, we are not basically checking if the user is authenticated or not. The first thing is there. Now I also have to check whether the logged in user is the same user ID that is requesting or pushing these messages. The logged in user, right? It should be logged in, and this target user ID and target user ID should be friends. This target user ID and user ID should be friends. How will you find that out? Tell me. How will you find that out whether the user ID and target user ID are friends? See, I am just sending messages to user ID and target. So basically you have to check before even sending these messages, right? Before even, I am just trying to find a chat over here. But before even finding this chat, check if user ID and target user ID are friends, right? This is a very important case to check. How will you find it out? How will you find out? In connection request table, you will have to find out whether they are friends or not. How will you find out? How will you find out? Tell me. I'm not writing the query now. How will you find out? Tell me. If the from user ID to user ID and status is accepted, do you know? Shall I write and tell you or not? Shall I or not? So basically you will have to find connection request model, not model, basically connection request dot, is it connection request model? Okay, just connection request, right? Connection request dot find one, right? Dot find one, and then I need to find out if my what is there? From user ID to user ID and status, right? So if my friend request, should I tell you how to write, or you will write it yourself? Tell me. Should I tell you? If my from user ID is my user ID, to user ID is my target user ID, and my status is accepted, right? This could be the case, or there can be one more case, my dear friends, right? Or what could be the case? Or the case could be very opposite, right? Or the case could be very different. So either this can happen, or my from user ID is target user ID and to user ID is user ID. Do you remember? If you don't remember, right, then it's not my fault. You will have to see the connection request, but I'm writing the comment over here. Check if the user is, I'm just writing to do's over here. To do's, right? So check if the user ID, right? User ID and target user ID are friends, right? How do you find out? Find out yourself, right? I'll give you a small hint also. Basically, over here you will be able to see this, right? In the requests, right? If you will go over here, we did the same thing here, right? See this. You have to write a OR query. This is what you need to do. Remember, if you don't remember this, figure out yourself, okay? But here you need to add one more status is equals to accepted, okay? So you need to check if the connection request accept or not. Cool. Is the accepted request or not? But this is your homework. If you are not able to do the homework, take help from your friends, take help from people in the Discord community, but do it. This is your homework, okay? Now there are so many more things that you can do. See, suppose one more thing I wanted to discuss is one more homework I would like to give is you have to build a feature. Build a feature, right? This feature is show green symbol when online. How would you create this feature? Tell me, my dear friends. Very important feature. Remember, if suppose I am online, suppose if I am over here, suppose if I open this, sorry, you can create a scene feature also, but let's go to connections. And if I go to Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump. So now it should show me a green dot over here. If I am on the chat, it should show me a green dot that I am there on that chat, right? I am just online. I am active right now. Okay. So can you build that kind of a feature? Can you build a last scene 2 hours ago, last scene 10 minutes ago, last scene 2 minutes ago? Can you build that kind of feature? Green dot or last scene 2 hours ago, something like that, right? Do you remember? This is a feature which is there on WhatsApp. Can you build that? Now there would be so many things coming into your mind. I'm not telling you everything. Let me give you a hint. Whenever there is a connection that is established, try to save that information, right? Try to store that information. There are so many things that you can do, right? The timestamp can tell you when were you last active, and then keep updating that timestamp, right? So you can just try it like that. There are so many things you can do, right? So many ways you can do it, right? If I am giving this homework to a lot of people, then everybody can have their own implementation of doing things. Everybody can have their own implementation of writing code, but that's completely okay. Your code should work, okay? That is your homework. Now, one more thing which I want to give you is, see, I wanted to discuss one more thing also. See, we have built a DB in certain way, right? See this. If I go back to DB, I want to discuss and take a moment and discuss it in the DB aspect also. When I go to chats, do you see there are two people who are chatting? This messages can grow a lot. This is not a problem, right? One problem is limit these messages. Suppose if Donald Trump and Akshay are chatting like every day, day in, day out, right? So this message object can grow a lot, right? This array can grow very lengthy. Suppose thousands messages. So every time your API call will happen, it is getting all the messages. So limit those message, right? Limit message on API call, right? This is one more homework that you need to do. There are so many things. If I'll think about it, there would be so many things which are left to do, right? So limit messages. And let me tell you, every homework that I am giving you, I have already taught you the concepts, underlying concepts. You should be able to do it with all the information which I have given. If you are not able to do this homework, that means you are not understanding and learning properly. Do it. These homeworks are challenging, but it will make your foundational developer understanding strong. It will help you write better code. Please do it, right? Limit messages when fetching. Limit messages, right? When fetching from DB, right? When fetching from DB, limit it. And then build pagination kind of a thing. Suppose if I am scrolling up, right? So the first time the message only load like 10, 20, 50 messages. If I scroll up, load more 50 messages. If I scroll more up, load more 50 messages. So it can store the history, right? Show the history, but only in 50 message per se, right? Otherwise it will become very tedious for the database, right? It will be a very heavy call. Suppose there are 1,000 messages, you are getting all those 1,000 messages. That's not a good way of doing things, right? Please do it in that fashion, right? Try to write the code for that. And what else? Shall we do some more things? Yes. And when I'm storing in database, this can grow. So for less number of users, this is a perfectly fine database. But when the users go into millions and a lot of other things, then there are so many other, things that you need to do. But that's kind of like a discussion of a, system design, right? Backend system design kind of a thing, that how do you handle those million requests on servers and all that other stuff is a different challenge in altogether, because then you don't need just one server, you will need multiple servers, and then you will need a heavy RAM in your database. Then if you want to make things fast, then you use something like Redis, right, to store in memory all the logs, database, and online chat. So many things are there that you can optimize, and it is a system design problem after some point of time, right? So that happens. And see, chat application is a very big thing, right, in itself. But in these videos, I tried to cover a lot of information about WebSockets and how you can implement it. I know that, I am not building a WhatsApp level chat at this point of time, but this is a very basic fundamental. And this happens actually in WhatsApp also. And this happens actually when you see, have you seen CrickBuzz? Where you see the live commentary of a cricket match. You open the web page and then they are updating the score of the match live. Or you might have seen chess.com website. This is the thing actually happening behind the scenes. As soon as player 1 is sending a move, it is going to player 2 and it is updating real time. If player 2 is sending, it is updating real time. Everything can be built using these WebSockets, and underlying concepts is same. Can you make a tic-tac-toe game? That is a project idea for you. Can you make a chess game, right? Project ideas, right? Can you make a tic-tac-toe? Can you make a tic-tac-toe game? Tic-tac-toe game, right? Or project idea 2, chess game. This chess game would be very tedious because you'll have to create a complex chess board, and then you have to verify the moves. It can be a very complex things, but underlying concept of two players playing in a same room is the same, right? The concept of two players connecting and playing in a same room can be the same, right? This is what I wanted to show you. Right, so that's what I basically you can also create some games like Type Racer. Have you seen Type Racer? This game, Type Racer, right? So you can just there are 5 people connected on a room, right? And you can just type along with that. See, I can go in the Type Racer, right? So basically I can, you just do it. So how does this happen, right? You need to, I can buy, oh my God, I am very bad at typing, myself flowers, right? So can you build this type of a game using WebSocket? Can you build this type of a game where just you can like compete with other people? So all this is possible using WebSockets, where real time you are on that chat and just doing, and so many things you can build, right? These are the project ideas which I would like to give you. Build it because it will improve your knowledge. Project ideas, just note it down yourself, right? This is what I want to tell you. Now everything is running on localhost. Okay, one last thing I forgot, right? We have not deployed this app on production because that will need some more configuration from our side, right? There would be one small thing which I forgot to tell you. Thankfully I realized it. But when you will deploy this application on production, there you will face an issue while deploying your front-end code. when you will deploy your front-end code, so just go over here to socket.js. This will not work, right? This base URL will not work. And there is a reason for that. I'll tell you. So see, if you will see base URL, we have written a condition. Let me just show it to you and tell you. So I have written a condition. If it is localhost, give this URL. If it is server, then give this URL. But this thing does not work in socket.js. Basically, you have to do some other type of configurations. Let me tell you what configurations do you do, right? Because that's really very important. Otherwise, the things will not work for you, right? And you will be in problem. So basically, what you'll have to do is, if your location.hostname is equals to localhost, if you are running on localhost, then this thing works perfectly fine, right? Return base URL works perfectly fine. But when you are on production, right? When you are on production, if you are on production, then what you need to do is you need to write something like this: location IO. In production, I want my base URL to be /, but my path to be, I'll tell you why I am doing so. Path to be API /socket.io, right? Let me just do it, right? API /API/socket.io. So this is how you need to do. Why I am doing so is because if you will see clearly, whenever, let me just refresh the page and show you in the network tab, right? So whenever I am refreshing the page, right, this socket connection automatically happens on a path /socket.io. Everything that happens on socket.io happens on /socket.io. Okay, everything that happens on /socket.io, right? So this happens in your local system. But when it will happen on production, it will take the URL something like this, right? dev-tinder.in /socket.io. And this will not work. And this will not work, right? So socket.io / and then something, right? So this is how things will work. What we want is, we want this base path to be API /, right? Because our backend is running on /API, right? So I want my base part to be /API. And the way you can configure this is, using this, right? Using this path variable. Now you would ask me, Akshay, how did you get to know? Let me tell you, it took me a lot of time, my dear friends, to figure this out. And let me also tell you, there would be so many instructors on YouTube teaching you this chat system, so many people teaching you, but nobody actually deploys on production and shows it to you, right? Because the real life challenges comes when you actually deploy things on production. They will not work. This code, you push it to production, it will not work, right? You need such configurations. The same problem was there on Razorpay also, where where their webhooks does not work the same way as you expect it to, right? But over here, the problem is with this configuration, right? This will not work. And the underlying concept is same, because see, when you will do dev-tinder.com, right? dev-tinder.in /socket.io, your Nginx will not recognize this path, because Nginx does not know what is socket.io. It will give you 404. If you still go, it will give you 404. And your API calls will return 404. And your socket connection will not work. This application will not work. You have to somehow go to API /, right? If you'll go to API /, then only it will work. And if you will write over here /API, right, it will not work, right? Try it out yourself. This is what is the difference between me teaching you and random people teaching on the internet, because I want to make sure that my students have correct knowledge and they are able to make their websites live on production, right? So I want to give you that knowledge, and for that you'll have to do like this, right? And it took me time. it's not a rocket science to make this work or not make this work. You might have also done that, right? If you try to deploy this, it will not deploy, and then you will have to struggle a lot. You figure out the solution. But if I have done that for you, I am just giving you out so that it becomes easier for you, because finding this thing in documentation was a little tough for me also. It took me a lot of time, trust me. Not a lot of time, but yes, it took me a couple of hours to figure that out. And the major reason was because, see, in the client API, if you'll see how to set the path, you'll see in the options, there is an option path, right? See this. See, the default value of the path is socket.io. That is why, everything that happens inside WebSocket happens in socket.io. Okay. And suppose if you want to change some custom path, so you have to basically give it like this, right? See, this will be our devtinder.com, right? devtinder.in. So that is why I am writing slash over here, devtinder.in. And my path should be /API/socket.io, right? So my path should be my custom path. So this is where I found out in the documentation. See, why I tell you this small stuff is because you should have a habit of reading documentation, right? When I went to documentation, I found out this path over here. There are so many more things over here in the documentation. WebSocket and socket.io library is so huge that I can make a Namaste WebSockets a separate course in itself, right? But I really wanted to touch this in my Node.js also, Namaste Node.js. Though Namaste Node.js was more about learning more about Node.js and how you can build applications using Node.js. WebSockets was not a major part of it, but still I wanted to cover this in this season 3. In season 3, I also wanted to cover a little bit of DevOps, that how you can deploy your application, because a lot of developers are scared of AWS instances. How do you deploy it? How do you do SSH? What is a PEM file? How do you import? And basically, how do you map your domain name? How do you send emails? So many things I wanted to cover and launch a real world application in front of you. And that was the goal of, Namaste Node.js season 3. Hope I was able to do this in season 3. And now with this configuration, I feel confident. Now I can just deploy my code. First of all, let me just push this code, right, to, let's say, chat. Right, let's say chat, and let me just push this code to main branch. Okay, so I have pushed this code. Let me also push this backend code, right? Did we not do npm install here, right? Where are the changes? There are no changes in package.json. How come? Okay, why don't we have a how come it is running? We don't have a npm install of socket.io. I was expecting changes inside that. Yes, now it came, right? I don't know why it was not showing earlier, but these are the changes for socket.io. Let's chat app or chat, just chat, okay? Let me sync these changes. Okay, let me sync these changes and let's deploy in production. I will teach you how to deploy in production. I will make things work on devtinder.in, and that is when I will rest. Okay, that is when I will think that I have taught you properly, right? So let's go. I have pushed this code to GitHub. Now let's go back and do a SSH to our machine. So I am inside my AWS machine. Let's go to devtinder backend. In the backend code, let me just git pull, right? Let me do a git pull over here. So I am git pull. So I have got these changes out here, right? Once I do git pull, I can just do a pm2 restart to restart my application. pm2 restart 0. First of all, let me do pm2 list. And then I can just do pm2 restart 0. Or, sorry. So basically, I have got my code. I should do npm install also, right? Because socket.io will not be here. So I did that. Now I can just do pm2 list. I can just do pm2, pm2 restart, tart restart 0. And then I can do a pm2 flush. In case there are some issues, it will show me PM2 flush, and I can do PM2 logs. Cool. So logs are empty. That means everything is cool, right? Now let me just go to my DevTinder web. Over here, I'll do a git pull, and then I will do an npm install. Then I will do npm run build. Right, I'll do npm run build. So I have built my project, and then I will do scp, right? So I will copy my code and push it to the var/html, var www.html, right? So I'll just do a reverse search of scp. Meanwhile, if you're finding that how do I do reverse search over here, you do with Control and R in this. I have this Mac keyboard, right? So this is Control. I'm not sure what that key is on Windows, right? So figure that out. But this is a reverse search that I do. It basically finds your past commands, right? So that's how you do. So now I think the code should be deployed on DevTinder, and with fingers crossed, let's just see if things are working fine. Let me just close this tab, and over here also let me close this tab. Let's go to devtinder.in. Cool. I think the code is deployed, devtinder.in. And if I go over here, let's go back to Akshay and Donald Trump, right? So let's just use cancel. I will also see by creating a new user also, right? I'll create a very new user, and I'll show you if things are working fine or not. Just for the sake of testing, right? Akshay, and then let's also go to Donald Trump, right? I was talking to Trump, right? So trump@gmail.com and Trump@123, right? Okay. Why? Okay, logged in. Cool. So I'm going to connections. And if I go to, oh my God, I don't see my new code here. Why I don't see my new code here? Here I can see the chat. If I click on it, oh, I got the chat, right? This is the chat which we had. If I go to connections, cool, new code came in. If I go to Donald Trump, this is the new chat, right? This is the new chat. Okay, so one more issue that I see is if I refresh the page here, right, it says not found. That is because I am referring to /chat. Now /chat Nginx rejects, because in Nginx I have just set this. If you go to /in, right, this is your front-end project. If you go to /API, it is your backend project, and it does not recognizes this chat path. If you will hit the same path on localhost, it will work, but it is not working over here. You have to do some Nginx configuration for that, right? Maybe I'll create a short video and then I will give you the bug fix for this. But for now, just understand this is an Nginx problem, because it does not recognizes what is /chat, right? So this is the only problem, right? Otherwise, everything is good. Similarly, right, if you go to /connections also, it will not recognize here. That is the problem with Nginx. So I will show you in some other video, right? I'll create a small video where I will just show you how to modify this. Otherwise, your application should work fine. If you go to connections, go to Trump, your chat is loading. Let's just chat now and see. Hey, Trump, we are live. We are live, right? And we see here, right? Woohoo! Right, you can just chat as much as you can, right? This is good, isn't it? Right? You can just keep pushing your code here. See, the issue is the UI is not that great, right? If you just send some message, it will not scroll up quickly. See this, it came in, but it is not scrolling up. So fix it up, right? It's a very easy thing, right? Maybe raise a PR to my code also, right? Well, my code will also improve. I'll just accept it, right? Maybe let's just create a new account and also see, right? Log out. Let's create a new account. Maybe let's create a new account. Let's sign up a new user, right? Whom should we sign up right now? Whom should we sign up? Let's sign up Deepika. Padukone. Right. Let's sign up. Deepika@gmail.com. Right. And then let's say Deepika@123. Right. A new user sign up. Cool. So got it. No. Let's. I have a lot of time now, right? I have taught you so many things. Let's get this photo up. Okay. Copy image address. Let's sign up all the celebrities over here, right? As if they are coders. In dev Tinder. I don't know what the age is. Let's add 30. Let's add gender as female. And then let's write some wiki something, right? Some information. Deepika.com. No, I don't need that. Right. So basically let's add this. Cool. I cannot add it. Copy it. Cool. Let's create this up here. Save profile. Right. I have saved this up. Let's go to DevTinder. Hello, hello. Ignore. What happened? It's very slow. Oh. Do we have bug in our code? Why it's not going away? Network. Do we have bug in our code? Okay, 400. Why are we getting 400 over here? Why are we getting connection request already exist? Okay, I have not handled the case, okay? So if there is a connection request that already exists. But why it's not refreshing if that's the case, right? Interested. Resolved connection request not object is not valid. Fix this issue. I'm not sure what that issue is, right? But must be some issue in the server, right? Let me see PM2 logs. How do you see? This is how you, suppose if you get the errors, right? Just try to reproduce these errors on localhost and just try to reproduce these errors on localhost. Sorry, my bad. Just try to reproduce these errors on localhost and then, try to fix it up, right? There would be some problems. I'm not sure what PM2 logs. Oh, I see this messages here, right? But what happened over here? Resolved credentials objects is not valid. Weird. Connection request already exists. It is giving some, something on the first go. It is sending the 400 bad request. Not sure what the issue is, but we'll have to figure out, right? But I think if you will go and see, these friend requests would have already been sent, right? So if let me just log in through Akshay, right? And let's see if the friend request was sent or not, right? If I'll just see. Fix this issue, right? I think I have taught my students enough that they can fix this issue, right? I think, the first time it is sending us the bad request, but the connection already exists, right? Basically, it is sending the connection request, then it is saying connection request does not exist, right? So, but ideally, I feel that, okay, this connection request, Akshay would have got it, right? Connections request. See, I have got this Deepika Padukone's connection request. If I accept it, so if I go to my connections, I should have got a friend. See, I have got Deepika Padukone as friend. If I go and click on chat, so I can now chat Deepika, right? With Deepika, and I can just, connection request, chat, and then I can just see, just say, hey, how are you? Or I can just say namaste, right? So I send this. This looks good, right? So namaste, and then I can just say, hello, this is a testing message for dev Tinder application. Okay, cool. So everything is good. If I refresh it. Okay, sorry, my bad. Let's go back. This is a very big problem here. I'll just fix it and I will tell you, right? So I can go back, go to the chat. it perfectly works fine. Basically, see, if you will come back again to this chat, this perfectly works fine, right? Basically, it is saving to the database, right? If you'll go to our database, everything saves well, right? If you refresh it, if you refresh the messages, see there are 3 chats now. And hopefully you can also go to DevTinder and chat and test out this feature yourself, right? I will keep this DevTinder live till I keep it, right? Till I have this domain name. I will try to keep it. But you know what people do? Some of you are just, spamming this DevTinder application. Uh, there are so many users I have not created. I have just created a few users for testing, but now we have 78 users. All these are students only, right? You people have registered onto DevTinder and you are using it. Use it. I have a free instance. If suppose this number goes huge and there are so many people who are just, registering here and the servers cannot take load, then I'm not going to upgrade it for sure. But till you are using free resources, I'm up, right? You can just go to devtinder.in and then play with our application, right? I'll fix the Nginx config also and I will share it in a small video if you want. But yes, before I end this video, I think this was the chat feature which I wanted to build. Before I end this video, again, I would want to request all of you, please, 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 my dear friends, share a word about Namaste Node.js, Namaste React, Namaste Frontend System Design, and all our courses to your friends and family. And also share about us on social media networks. That would mean a lot to us. And my dear friends, I want to reach a lot of students. I want to teach a lot of students. I want your help to reach to a lot of developers. And please, if you share a word about us, give me a shout out on social media. Do tag me up on your post. It really means a lot to me. And whenever you are taking notes, please post your notes, post your learnings, learn in public, build stuff, push your code on GitHub, share it on social media, tag me up. I love to read your comments. And let's keep doing great work. I wish you the best in your career ahead. Namaste Node is very special to me. It's very close to my heart. I wanted to build this course in a very lovely way so that a lot of developers learn in depth about Node.js. And I really feel so happy that I did that, right? And I have added a lot of cool concepts. If you know all of it and if you are learning sincerely, if you are honestly studying, then you will become a great developer. Just keep practicing. This is all the knowledge you need. Trust me. And there are so many more typical and tough concepts also that are there. See, backend engineering is huge, but with this course, I wanted to cover the basic fundamental and a strength knowledge, right? The basic knowledge. Even if you are a backend developer, you go to interviews with this knowledge, you will have your own confidence, right? When you will speak about Node.js, that how Node.js works behind the scenes, you'll become a great developer if you can code or everything like this. I have put all the efforts, our projects have become so huge, right? If you'll see so many files, so many things, right? Even front end, even back end, so many things. This is a complete MERN stack application that I have taught you to build. And it is live, my dear friends. I wanted to teach you everything live. So hope you enjoyed this series. Hope your money was worth it. And I enjoyed creating this series a lot, right? So thank you so much for watching it. Thank you so much for sharing it. Again, please give me a shout out. Also, I would request you that please go to Discord community. We have a Discord community. Please go to Discord community and just help other developers over there. And if you are stuck somewhere, seek help over there. Make a great community. There are other Node.js developers, fellow developers who are learning Node.js along with you. Help them. That will make you an even more better developer, because the errors you have not got, they might be getting, and the errors you are getting, they might not be getting, or they have overcome it, right? If you will help each other, you will become better, right? I have learned a lot by seeing other people's code, try to review their code, try to make a healthy environment, try to make more connections, try to find friends in that community, and wish you the best in your career ahead. That's all in this video, my dear friends. We'll see you soon, and wish you the best for your career once again. And thank you so much for sharing about me on social media if you have done already. Otherwise, I would request you to please give me a shout out once again. Thank you so much. Bye bye.